Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by Luke Tennie, who plays Sean on the great Apple TV Plus series Shrinking. Luke, this season is so so great. I actually wanted to start in the sixth episode. You have just an amazing sequence at the beginning when Sean is in the hospital bed and you get to roast, or Sean gets to roast all of the characters. It is hilarious. I just was watching it before we hopped on here. How much of a delight was that for you to get to do?
Hey, look, man, drunk words are sober thoughts, but those thoughts became reality as soon as that man became under the influence. Boom, 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 boom. They just kept coming out. It was sensational. I had such a blast. Brett actually asked me some of my favorite stand-ups. He was like, "Can you just send me a list, some of them?" I was like, in no particular order, just boom, 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 boom. He was like, "All right, okay, noted." And he took that into consideration before he like drafted this thing up. It was such a blast. And I know the purpose that Sean serves on Shrinking. And more often than not, he's not there to make you laugh. Oftentimes we're laughing when he's on screen. There are funny things that happen, but it was really cool for them to kind of, put me in the driver's seat of a comedic moment for a while. And I just can't believe that that was real life. I'm very grateful to have that in my memory.
What was on your list of comics? Or who?
Oh, I went down. I had Cat Williams, I had Chappelle, I had Kevin Hart. I had some new people, Greer Barnes, I had Sam Morril, Bill Burr. Just the
Yeah.
list kept. I love stand up, so I was very grateful that they asked.
You mentioned like so like I know from like you in the first like your background previously before the show is more dramatic stuff. I know and like getting to do Shrinking obviously is a very funny show with serious moments as well. But yeah, for you I guess getting to like really be funny in that scene is like really, I mean, I yeah, how did that feel, and like kind of like getting to like really kind of step into the actual comedy of it like that?
I mean, I was really intimidated, and we get the scripts. We get the scripts not too much time in advance. It's kind of like as soon as you start to close one episode, then you start to get the scripts for the following. And for me, man, I had enough time. I got my script for episode 6, and that scene was going to be shot right before we started production on episode 7. So as I was learning the lines for tomorrow and for the next day and for the next few days, every day I was just in that final scene going, all right, let me get the reps in, make sure I know what's going on. Why does he think this about this person? What's his real opinion? Why is it coming out? What drug is he using? I was like, I did my brief research. I was like, okay, the kind of drug that they would use to numb the pain in this situation wouldn't really get this result. That's more of what they use when they pull out wisdom teeth. And I was like doing all this research. And I was like, but with this drug, and it was awesome just to do that research. So I just prepared an insane amount so I could feel confident when I got there on the day.
You do such a great job. I don't mean to harm this, but I just found it so the way even playing like you're saying like adult, like obviously he's on like controlled substance because of his injuries and stuff. I just found that real. It's so believable. I guess like you're really like selling that part of it, and I think you could imagine. I've seen other you see people overplaying that or whatever, and I thought you did a really great job of just like making it feel so realistic in the moment.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I got to admit, that was part of the director's vision too. Randall Winston. I love working with this guy. But I really had committed to making sure that the drugs were visible on my action. And when I was doing that, Randall had to come through and he was like, hey, we're losing you a bit on some of these. Like it looks a little too serious. So you got to find the moments when we can see. And then the one I saw that he used was when Sean starts to turn his head and went, no, I got you. I did you. I did you. And then we land on Alice and she's like, oh, come on. And then I was like, that was the perfect balance we needed to show that, yeah, he's under the influence, but we're still on a comedy here.
Right. Yeah, it's really, really good. Do you have a favorite line of those roasts? Any of the ones that you?
Probably the one that wasn't even a roast when he says, eat a dick, Pam. Because there's so many layers there. Because Ted, he's just lovely, probably the closest to his character that any actor is to their character on Shrinking. Um, I think Derek's whole vibe and his essence is like he's just the most well-adjusted person on the show. And when Sean met him, he was sort of inspired by his loyalty to his wife, how quickly he switched. And for him to bring that up in the moment, for Derek to just want to be a part of it, and Sean can't even roast him because he's that good of a guy is hilarious. And I must say, not in the script, Bill walked in, said, Ted, you say do me, do me. Luke, you say eat a dick, Pam. And he walked out of the room and everybody just lost it. We were all super hype and happy that Bill gave us this glorious moment to just chow down on. It was great.
So you're talking about this, like one of the things I think I love about the show, and I think people who love about the show is the ensemble. Like all of you guys, like it's so deep. Like I mean, there's like 10, maybe more characters. Everyone feels like they have like real substantial arcs. It's all really funny, and you all work together so well. I mean, like coming back here for season two, especially, that's a great scene because everyone's kind of in the scene with you, obviously. But I mean, is it really great to have that kind of like that kind of cast camaraderie and ensemble to really kind of bounce off of on a show like this?
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even think it's a plus, really. I've learned it's an essential thing. I think if that component is missing, people won't buy it. There's an amount of trust that's needed for the moments of deep, dark drama that's also required for people to get that whip snap comedic sort of rhythm. They're essential. And I used to think that having fun on a comedy was just a plus. Like we're there to work, we're there to make this art. But no, I think fun is an essential ingredient. It would be flavorless and insipid without that special ingredient, which is the fact that we are all enjoying ourselves.
It's really great. When you came back for season two here, obviously, and you saw it, they're like where Sean's going to go, and obviously in this episode, like the one we're talking about, and just in general, like you have his relationship with his father kind of comes to a head, and like kind of really like gets to a good point. I think by the end of that episode and everything, I guess like yeah, were you I don't know surprised? Like what were you expecting? And I guess how did like kind of this second season and where Sean is going, kind of how did you feel about that? And like yeah, like what were you thinking?
I was shook when I read the words out of Paul's mouth where he was like, Jimmy, you didn't mess up with Grace. I was like, okay, well, then who'd he mess up with? Oh, he's in the room with us. He's me. I was like, me? And then I kept reading codependent relationship. I kept reading, he lives with you. I kept reading, does he have anyone else from his own life? No.
Mm-hmm.
It shook me, but the twist made sense. Grace made a mistake, but she made a mistake headed in the right direction. Sean has been given tool after tool after tool and has been removed from the environment in which he would have been able to use and refine those tools. And that's another thing this season touches on, using the tools that you're given, showing what therapy and the commitment to making a change, what benefits it would give you when you sign up for improvement.
Right. Do you have for you playing Sean? I mean, like how it sounds like yes. You see, I like you think very deeply about the character. I think like in like real terms beyond even what is on the page. Maybe would that be a fair statement, or like how do you kind of think about
Absolutely.
him? Yeah.
I like to make sure that I read between the lines so that I don't have to come to set and think about like what my face is going to do or where to breathe. If I know who this guy is, then it's just going to come out naturally when I'm on set.
And then when you get to this season, you got to do a lot more, obviously, too, with Harrison, which I know was in the first season, but like I guess like we're saying, like obviously, like this second season feels. I mean, just as a viewer, felt like I love the first season. It feels like this season is like just better. Also, even like it was
You're
great,
correct.
and now it's very great, or something. You know what I mean?
I think the writers would agree. You know, I think at your most critical, you could give the first season like, oh, it's good, but there's nothing you can say about this second season that's short of very good, in my
right.
opinion.
Yeah.
It's exceptional,
It's
and I think you're correct about that.
okay. So like then getting and you get to do more with Harrison, obviously, too. And I guess like yeah, like how is like coming in for the first season, like obviously you got all these great like Harrison Ford, Jason Segel, like all these incredible actors. Now you're like we said, like ensconced in this like ensemble, like a key part of it. Very great on the show. Also, I think your performance is like great. Like, do you like? I guess like how did the vibe change for you or anything like in playing in these scenes with like these guys, like from season one to season two, or your own thoughts on that? I guess.
I did feel, and I hope everyone else felt this as well, but I did feel a sort of quiet support that increased. Not that I felt unsupported in season one. It was just like, hey, we're here to figure this out. But on season two, when there was a moment that required any sort of focus or a little bit more concentration, there was a sort of, hey, anything you need from everyone. And the answer was usually no. But the fact that they asked is what made me feel so comfortable and confident making the choices I made, or even like taking risks that maybe didn't make it in the final edit that helped inspire and influence
Hmm.
and were the genetic material for the moments they did keep. You know,
Right.
so I think we were very warm on season two, comfortable enough to ask if we're uncomfortable. You know,
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot. I mean, have you gotten used, like you said, like the cadence of the show and TV in general, obviously. So like, do you ever get used to that as an actor, I guess? Or like how like kind of the speed has to move, like that kind of thing?
part of the acting is acting like this is normal, at least for me. You know, like there was nobody before me in my family who's been doing this. You know, I can't wait to make Nepo babies. I know how people feel about that, but my whole idea is if I open the doors, you ain't gonna have to open them yourself. Not my babies. You can walk through these doors. I'm gonna hold them open. But nobody was there for me. So I kind of revel in this fun realization that like I don't think it'll get old for me. I have that huge blessing to where every time I walk on set, I'm still pinching myself. It's not going to get old. This is insane. I get paid to play make believe. This is stuff I've been doing since I was a kid with my Hot Wheels and my action figures. Except now I'm the Hot Wheels and the action figure. Like, come on. So for me, it's I just revel in it. I love it. I'm super grateful for it. And I hope that the gratitude is something that people see when I come to set because it's part of what I have to offer as a performer. If you don't like enthusiasm, don't hire me. I'm going to be hype when I get there.
I mean, it comes through. I think it's just great. Like I said, I think you're like such a key component in this thing. Obviously, also like I feel like it seems like it's leading to more opportunities. I know you're also in Nickel Boys this year, which I
That's
got to
right.
see. So
Yeah.
fantastic. Like, and I was wanted. I obviously we're talking about shrinking. I just wanted to ask you a little like the acting in that was so different, right? Because it's like PO first person perspective for people who haven't seen the film. Like, how do you have to retrain yourself as an actor going from something like Shrinking to something like that film? Or like how do you even approach that?
Great question. And I'd love to say something like it's all the same, but the truth is like like there's no pause button on life. There's no sort of, you can't go to a menu screen. There's no home. You just live it until you're done. And from my experience as an actor, there's no part that I've done in the past that hasn't helped, that hasn't helped me figure out the next one. And for me to go from season one of Shrinking and then to be in New Orleans and shooting the Nickel Boys, I just spent so much time engrossed being in front of this camera, learning to be familiar with it. So now they just took this thing and hooked it on to this performer. And as I'm doing this, it feels weird on take one, on take two, but on take three, the performance that I'm getting from this individual is so immersive and honest and true that it just becomes another experience for me to perform, to play make believe. So I'd love to say like it's all the same. It is different. But the truth is, you do it, and if you commit, it will come out the way it needs to. And I think Nickel Boys is a perfect example of that.
And then do you think like coming like you said like from Nickel Boys then back to Shrinking season two, like do you feel like you're even a better actor than from season one, I guess, like in that regard?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm super blessed because I was having a time of my life. I was doing Shrinking, and then between doing Nickel Boys, I was coming home to shoot episodes of CSI Vegas, which
Mhm.
unfortunately is no longer airing. It got canceled after the strike. But I was doing this streaming comedy. I was doing this super procedural sort of drama, and then doing like an independent film sort of avant-garde type deal. And what's so awesome about being engrossed in all those different genres is that you get to use your tools in a different way.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm just grateful I get to be on sets that frequently. But the main thing is every time I step on one of those sets, it's asking something different of me. And it's another opportunity for me to improve. So by the time I go back to season two, I'm warm from the other stuff I'm doing, even though it wasn't Sean. So I'm better now. I'm better. I'm more warm. I can trust myself more. So when I trust myself, I am now someone other people can trust because I'm doing it. I'm leading by example.
And then before we wrap up, just I know obviously I think we're up to episode 7 of Shrinking now, right? Or this week I think aired. So we're 12 episodes. We're kind of past the halfway point. Obviously, like what are you excited for people to see, or where Sean's going to end up here in this season?
What I'm so excited for is for them to see his progress. There are certain categories of his life that have been off limits to the viewer because they've been off limits to Sean. And now that he's making significant changes, we're gonna see him finally venture into those categories. Oh, I'm thinking about things that I can't say. How much have you seen?
I've seen the whole thing, but I know we're not going to be to
Know
people.
what I'm
I
talking
know
about.
exactly what you're talking
I'm
about, and
picking up what I'm putting down.
great, really great. Luke Tennie obviously stars as Sean on Shrinking. You watch the episodes on Apple TV Plus. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. It's been so great chatting with you.